everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute little box of French fries. A little 3D box of French fries. So in one of my previous videos recently I showed you how to make 3D cheeseburger. So this is the fries, the matching charm to go with it. So to make one of these you're going to need some size 11 seed beads in red. I'm using this from Preciosa. You'll need some size 11 seed beads in yellow. You can use round seed beads or Delica beads. I use Delica just to get that sharp edge on the top to make it look more like a French fry. And this is the colour I'm using. You'll need beading thread and needle. I'm using approximately 36 inches of thread, 6-pound fire line in crystal and a size 12 beading needle. And that's everything, so let's get started. What I'm going to start by doing after I've threaded my needle is picking up a random bead. Just find any random bead that's different to these ones that you're using. Doesn't matter shape or size. Slide that down until you've got about 4 or 5 inches left on your thread, and then go back through that bead. Hold it into place like that. Just add in a stop bead so that the other beads don't fall off the end while we're working on them. Next you're going to pick up 10 of your red beads and slide those down all the way down till they're at the bottom. That's why we added the stop bead. And then I'm going to hold them like this. I'm going to pick up 2 more red beads. So I'm coming out the top of them here. I'm going to go round, down and back up through the 2 at the top. Pull that through and just pull it down so that you've not got a big gap here, because you don't want to keep losing any extra thread here. So we have this. From here I'm going to go back down through those 2 I just added. Then picking up 2, now coming out of here, so on this side you need to count down through 4 or 2 more after this row. So through these 2, and you're going to go up through those 2 like that. Pull that through. Now you need to come across and back down through the 2 you just added. Pull that nice and tight and you should have this. We're going to do the same thing again. Pick up 2. So this is where we're level at, so counting down from here down 2, you're going to go back up through those 2 like that, and then back down through the 2 just added. Pull it nice and tight. So we have this, and you're going to keep going doing that 2 more times. So add in 2 beads here, up through here, back down, 2 beads here, up through here and back down. So then you should have this. Now you can remove the stop bead by just pulling it off the thread, because the beads should hold into place now where they are. From here we're kind of going to do the same thing, picking up 2 each time. We're going to attach the groups of 2 to this outside row, and we'll go in upwards rather than from the top. You could flip it over and go top to bottom if it's more comfortable. So picking up 2, going down through the first 2 and then back up through those 2 you just added. So you have this, and then pick up 2, coming across down through the next 2, and up through the 2 you just added. Pull it tight. So then you're going to do that up to the top again, so just 3 more groups of 2. So then you should have this, and then you need to do 2 more rows all the way down. So coming down here, adding the groups of 2 till you get to the bottom, and then another row. So 2 more rows of 10 beads in total. So then you should have this, so you've got 5 rows or columns of 10 beads. Now from here you're going to pick up 1, so you're coming out the top here. If you're coming out the bottom, just flip it over, picking up 1 and going all the way down the next column. Make sure you don't skip over any beads by accident. Make sure you can't see your needle on either side. Pull that through and just let that bead sit on the top like that. Then you're going to go all the way up through the next column, back up to the top, picking up 1 and all the way down through the next one. Now you're going to go all the way up through the column right at the other end. Okay, pull it really tight. Should straighten out your rows a little bit as well. Now picking up 1 and going back this way now, back down through, all the way through the next column. Now back up through the next one and picking up 1 and back down all the way down through the next one. So then we have this, we're going to move back up through the 10 beads on this side. Now through all 4 of those beads that we added across the top. And then all the way down to the bottom of this end row. So we have this. Now we're going to do the same thing again up here, but we're only adding 8 beads, so 4 groups of 2, so adding them in the same way as before, but just adding 8 beads instead of 10 altogether. So 4 groups of 2 instead of 5. So go ahead and add 8 beads up to here. So then you should have this, and then we're going to go all the way back down, adding 4 more groups of 2 to this row. So same technique as always. Let's go ahead and add your groups to get to the bottom, 8 beads in total. So then we have this. Now we're going to go all the way back up through this previous row of 8. Picking up 1 red and then going back down through the other row of 8. Just letting that bead sit on the top like that. So carrying on this way, doing our stitch again, we're going to be adding 3 more rows here of 6 beads this time. So not adding those 2 at the top, just adding 2, 4, 6, 3 groups of 3. I'm going to add them in the same way as always. And you're going to do, like I said, 3 rows of 6. So this is my first row, and then I'm going to start my next one straight from here. So go ahead and add 3 rows of 6, then I'll show you what to do next. Now you're going to do another row of 6. Sorry, I forgot about that. Another 2 rows actually. So you've got your 3 rows of 6, go ahead and add another 2. I forgot we'd need to do 2 more. So then you should have this, and if you should be coming out the top here, but I did have to add new thread, and I think I started back so that I'd be coming out the same place that you guys all are. If not, and if you're coming out the bottom of this one, just so from the bottom here you can move up through 1 and then go diagonally up and across through this one and all the way up to the top. So just make sure you're coming out the top here. I think I did it right, but just in case. Then pick up 4 red and go straight down through the next row of 6. Now you're going to come all the way back up through 7, just missing that top bead. And then you're going to go across, down through this second bead down on this row. Oops. And then up through the 2 at the top. Pull it nice and tight. So we have a rows of 8, picking up 1 and coming out the top here, going all the way down through this next row. So that sits on the top, and then all the way up through this row on the end. So now what you need to do is fold it in half like this. So you've got your 2 ends, this is the one we're working on, and line it up so the beads are level like this. And we're going to join this row to this row in the same way all the others are joined. So going down through, across so it's level, and down through the 2 top 2, well the 2 that are level with the top 2 on your row of 8. And then back up through the top 2 on this side. This time you're going to go down through 4 beads. So across level and down through 4. Across level and up through 2. And then across level down through 4. Oops. Across and up through 2. Across down through the last 4. And then it's just those bottom 2 that aren't connected, so up through 2 all the way up to the top, just to straighten that all out. Pull it nice and tight, and now you have this. So from the top of this row here, I'm going to go across through that one that connects our 2 rows of 8 together, and all the way down through those 8. Turn it round onto the front. Now there's the top of our rows of 6. I'm going to go up through that first row of 6. Picking up 1 red and going down through the next row of 6. And then you're going to go up through the next row of 6. Oops. picking up one, and you're going to go back down through this one previously. So from here, from this middle row, you're going to move up through one bead to the left, just through one bead, and then down through one bead to the left. Oops. Then you're going to flip it over so you can see the bottom. So you need to be holding it like this. So this is the bead we're coming out of. You've got one that should stick out at either end, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows that are kind of level across the middle. And we're going to join those together with a bead. So picking up one, just coming out of this one, you can go down through that bead opposite, just through the top bead if you like, or the first bead. Now here you're going to go across and up through the first bead of the next row, and then do the same, picking up one and going into the one opposite, just through the top bead, and then you need to come through the next bead, picking up a bead and going into the one opposite, up through the next one. So you're just doing that all the way along, down through the next one opposite, and then this will be the last one, up through the next one, picking up a bead and across through the one opposite where your tail thread's coming out of. So we have this. Now all that's left to do is to add the little fries in the middle. So first of all, from here where you're coming out, I'm going to just go up through the next bead again, here, and then I'm going to poke my needle through the hole so it's coming out through the middle. Just pull that through. Then we're going to pick up some beads. So for the next part where you're adding the chips, I alternate between picking up 9, 10 and 11, maybe even 12 beads each time. Do them all different lengths so that they're not all sitting at the same height. So 12 would be my maximum, but 9, 10 and 11. So this time I think I've picked up 11. Slide those down. Now making sure they go all the way through, just pushing them down with my thumbnail to the base. You can kind of see it in there. So then you're going to move that last one out of the way, don't go through that, and then go back down through all of those others. Inside the packet, if you sort of skip over one by accident and don't go through it, it's not going to matter because you can't see the thread, so don't worry too much. Poke it all the way back through that bottom and pull it down until it sits tight, like that. And then what I do is go through one of these beads, any one of these, and then back through to add my next one. So then same thing again, this time I'll pick up 9, slide them all the way down, skip the last one, go back down through the other 8 or as many of those as I can. A little bit fiddly, and out the bottom, connect it to one of these that it comes out near, and poke my needle back through, ready to add my next one. So keep going ahead, add as many as you want. So this is how many I did on my other one. And then once you've done that, I'll show you how to tie your knots. So when you've done that and you're happy with how many chips you've got in there, then, or French fries, I know chips are something different in America to over here. I think our chips are your potato crisps, maybe. So when you've done that anyway, coming out of the bottom here, I usually tie my knots on the bottom. So I'm just going to go through one of these beads, and you can see there's that thread there. You're going to try and go under that thread with your needle, like that. Pull that through to make a small loop and go up through that loop twice, pulling it really tight on that last one, and then going to move on through the next one. And through the next one, and then I'll tie another knot here in the same way, and that should probably be enough. So then I will just move onwards and far away from my knot before I cut my thread, and then thread your needle onto your tail thread, do the same thing, and then you can cut them both off and you're all finished. So once you've cut off your threads, that's you all finished. So here they are. I think they're so cute, especially when you see them with the burger, like a little meal deal. I need to make a little drink now, a little drink with a little straw. So cute. So this is the burger, so you can check out that video. I'll try and link it down below or at the end of the video. And then here's the finished little fries. Hope you've enjoyed this video. You're able to make one of these. Comment down below any other ideas, and like, subscribe if you enjoyed to see more of my videos, and follow me on Instagram at Beading by Hannah. Thanks for watching. See you next time.